Welcome to episode 31 of the Hike or Die Outdoor Adventure podcast. I'm here with good friend Craig. How you doing, mate?
Hey, good, Tom.
Craig, what is the most unusual reason that you've ever had to go on a hike?
Unusual reason. Don't know, mate.
Yeah, don't know. Interesting.
That's a hard one.
It is a hard one. Well, for our guest today, Paul Barach, it was pretty simple. It was ninjas. And you're going to learn a lot more about that when he tells us all about his Shikoku Pilgrimage later on. But first, some cool music, please, my friend. Thank you, as always, to our regular podcast sponsors for their support. Topo Maps Plus, a phone application that allows you to view topographical maps and track your location even without cell phone coverage. Go deeper into the backcountry. Rios floating polarized sunglasses with 100% UV protection for the love of water. Bluey Merino, Australian superfine merino wool base, mid, and top layer garments. Where our story ends, yours is just beginning. Caribbee, one of Australia's leading backpack, travel and outdoor brands. They supply us with dry bags, waterproof day packs and expedition bags. Supporting our sponsors allows us to continue to produce this podcast, so please jump online and check out what they have to offer. We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast today, and pay our respects to their elders past and present. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander listeners. Craig, Happy New Year, mate. How are you?
Yeah, that's it. Happy New Year. I reckon it's going to be a good one.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, I was having this conversation. Well, I think we had this conversation in our last podcast, so I won't go over it again. But for a lot of us, last year was pretty good in a lot of ways. I guess we just made it good.
Yeah. I think a lot of people wanted to forget 2020 as well. I think a lot of people had some tough times.
Yeah,
So,
you got to be careful what you wish for, though.
yeah, I guess.
I wouldn't say we're out of the woods yet.
That's right. But fingers crossed.
Hopefully into the woods a lot, if you get my drift.
That'll be good.
Hey, what have you been up to?
Oh, mate, I haven't been doing too much outdoors. I did get away to the Gold Coast with Elliot for a night. Him and me. We went to the Natural Bridge and the Purlingbrook Falls cool. After all that rain we had. It was.
Oh, that must have been awesome. I've never actually been there ever.
Haven't you?
No, yeah, I'm not a big fan of. I mean, I'm not a big fan of those super
popular stuff.
Popular, yeah.
They call it the Natural Arch, but it's the Natural Bridge they call it actually. And it is pretty popular.
Which is arch shaped.
I was close, something like that.
Damn close. I think they probably could have named it better.
Yeah.
If you were around.
Yeah. No, it's a pretty good spot though, man. It's a pretty amazing little spot, and glowworms in the cave and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I've read all about it. Seen some fantastic photographs. Yeah. I should get down there just to tick it off, just to say I've seen it. Did you spend a night or two down there? Yeah,
we stayed in the swag, just me and the boy, which was great, and just the one night. But we went down to the waterfalls in the morning, and he actually got really scared. All the loud noises and stuff.
Oh, what of the waterfall? Was it quite violent?
It was really moving. I've never seen it like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Had to walk through a bit of water just to get to the usual lookouts and stuff. And,
right.
Yeah, it was. I put the drone up and got some footage over the top of the falls.
You'll have to show. I wish you had shown me that before. You show me that later if you got it. Yeah, cool. That'd be good. Cool. Yeah, we took a week and went up to a beachside town, a very quiet one, and up north, and basically just cruised around, did a lot of swimming in the ocean, did a bit of exploring. It's a place that's very famous for turtles nesting on the beaches. And last time we were up there, we actually walked down the beach, and by pure chance, there was a female turtle up there laying her eggs, which is
awesome.
Quite rare during the day, from what I hear.
Yeah,
So,
right.
yeah, I didn't see anything like that this year, but it was still good to get away.
Yeah, so they do lots of tours and stuff. I lived in Harvey Bay for so long and
That's right. I forgot about that.
never got to do it, even though it's not
Yeah.
too far. So it's just up north of Bundy or something, isn't it?
So yeah, well, east really, because Bundy's inland.
And then you go out to Barach.
Correct. Yeah.
And what do they call it? Monrepos?
Monrepos.
Monrepo or Monrepos.
Yeah, something like that.
And that's where the turtles actually come in.
Yeah, exactly. Like right on the beach there. And that's, like I said, we went to the Monrepo Information Centre last year, year before last technically.
Yeah.
And we said, oh, well, let's, instead of walking back the other way, we'll hike back along the beach, which is a beautiful hike. And as soon as we hit the beach and walked 100 metres, there was a turtle there.
During the day?
Yeah, during the day.
Isn't the main attraction to sort of go out? They go out at night.
You go at about 6 p.m. or 7 p.m.
Oh,
and they actually meet, and you go with a ranger.
With
You're not allowed on the beach after 5 p.m. for that very reason.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, somewhere around that 5 p.m. or something. It's actually, the beach is closed every night, not like a normal beach. So you can only go with a ranger, so that they keep an adequate distance and there's not too many torches or interference and stuff like that.
Yeah, right. And you see them digging the holes and flicking the sand out, and apparently, yeah.
Yeah, really quite an amazing animal. The way they migrate back to the very same beaches and all of that sort of spooky stuff that quite a lot of animals do.
I'd love to see all those little tiny ones running down the beach.
Yeah, that actually, I would like to see that. I think my kids would lose their mind when they go flapping down the beach from that hole. It's pretty cool.
For sure.
Went up Mount Gungun again recently. I think I already told you that maybe.
No.
Yeah, nothing. I was going to say nothing special, but it is a special place. It's really
Very
cool.
special.
Really unique place, not too far from me. Really rich in Indigenous history and story. It's just a fantastic place to be. And so, yeah, took the kids up to the top of that and everyone had a good time. I'll tell you the funniest thing that's happened recently is my boys watch a lot of TV with me. When I say TV, I mean it's usually what I'm watching on YouTube. And usually what I'm watching on YouTube is outdoor sort of channels and stuff like that. So we watched a few survival type scenarios where guys take off to a beach or something for a few days and they just take basics like maybe a knife or something and a water bottle. And, obviously, that used to captivate me a lot. And obviously that captivates their young minds. And one, my eldest boy said, I want to do a solo challenge where I go into the backyard and basically, so you want to go in the backyard and basically have no contact with us, no food or anything, and stay out there until and not come back until the next day.
Oh yeah.
Basically, I said, well, okay, well, let's make up a scenario. I think you should be a hiker who's lost, and then whatever you've got with you, because he was going to go in shorts and a t-shirt, and that's it. And I said, all due respect, you're gonna get mauled by mosquitoes. And
hang on, let me get this straight. So you're watching YouTube on the couch. He's probably wearing shorts and t-shirt. Then he's
oh no, the guy on the show is just wearing shorts and a t-shirt. And he's like, oh yeah, I want to do it raw, like completely strip it back. And I said, that's great, but in our backyard in the middle of summer, you're going to get mauled by mosquitoes and sandflies and stuff.
You would, yeah.
So he conceded and he said, okay. So what you would pack in your backpack is what you can take. So you can have your he had a flint.
Good, yeah.
Ferro rod.
Yeah.
What else did he have? Oh, water bottle. He had that one, the same one that you've got with the can on the bottom, the cup on the bottom. He had a backpack which had a rain jacket and a warm jumper, and then his hat, and then that was basically it. And he said, "Oh, I'll be right." So off he goes in the backyard.
Yeah.
Now,
cool.
the timing of it, unfortunately for him, was on that Saturday about 2 weekends ago where it bucketed down.
You kidding?
The biggest storm. No, I'm not kidding.
So obviously he had a tent, did he, or what?
No, he had nothing. No, he's just sleeping out there. So he goes out there at exactly midday, and I gave him a lesson in how to use my GoPro because he said, "Oh, I want to film it as well." So I gave him a few lessons. Do this, don't do that. This makes horrible footage. This is good, and all this sort of stuff. And he got it all. And he took a little, those little Joby. You've got one up there.
Yeah.
Tripods. And off he trots, and I'm peeking through the windows, and he's out there talking to the camera and stuff. And I thought, this is so cool. And then at around 3:00 in the arvo, this mother of all storms rolls in. And by then he's trying to build this shelter out of dead palm tree leaves and sticks, and it starts raining, and he gets smashed by the rain. I thought he's going to be in any second. He ends up taking, he basically takes all his clothes off except for a pair of shorts, and he's running around saturated doing his vlogging.
Yeah.
In the rain.
Awesome.
And then, so he had a fire started, and he started a fire with a ferro rod.
Yeah?
Yeah, out of only things in the yard.
Yeah.
So no paper or anything like that.
That's cool.
He legit started a fire with a ferro rod, which I would challenge some adults to do that.
Tell me you've edited this footage together, Tom.
No, I haven't yet because it was only 2 weekends ago. But then it rains, buckets down. Then it stops raining. He restarts the fire with wet kindling and everything, goes and gets inner bark off trees and restarts the fire.
Really?
Yeah. And then he decides that his shelter was pretty subpar, so he knew there was more rain coming, so he starts really working on his shelter. Then he snuck down. We've got chickens, as I think I've mentioned before. He snuck down and took 2 eggs out of the chicken pen, took them up to cook them
Really?
on the fire, which wasn't a great success because he didn't know what he was doing. But by that time, the second wave rolled in, and it was of rain, and it just smashed everything, and then he couldn't get the fire started. Here's the funny thing. So on any given hike, I'll use around about 1 GoPro battery a day, and I gave him, so he used 3 in one afternoon.
Yeah.
He was just,
is that right?
He had the camera on the whole time.
Oh, nice.
And anyway, while he'd return the camera and then ring this bell and then run back because he didn't want to have any contact with us. I'd go out and change the memory card and the battery, ring the bell, and he'd come back and collect it and keep on filming. Then I'd go in and watch the footage while he was already out there, and it was hilarious. But the scary thing is, Craig, he's really good presenter. He's way better than me. It's scary. Like almost. I wish I could take credit for some of it, but he's a natural. He's just talking about everything he's doing. He's breaking open the side of a termite mound and like eating termites out of it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No way. Yes. Oh, watch this space. That sounds good.
Oh man! So look out. There's a new new survival guy on the horizon.
We should get him in here.
Tell us all about it. That'd be hilarious.
Nice.
He's extremely passionate about it, which I like. So yeah, look, there's worse things for kids to be doing. I don't mind if he's out there lighting fires and doing that stuff.
Oh man, my girls caught must have been 20 grasshoppers the other day out of our garden and brought them in the house, and then they escaped.
Right before you could get them into the stir fry.
Ah, dang. So yeah, I'd rather have your story at the moment.
It would have been pretty fun though, wouldn't it? Them trying to recatch them.
Yeah. No, I think it was overnight, so we didn't find it. The thing was all empty the next day.
Oh, great.
So they're all in the house.
Hey, you would have noticed if you're an avid listener of the podcast that we left you with an enormous but hilarious cliffhanger last year's last episode. We asked you the quiz question, and then it wasn't till about half an hour after the guests were off, so Chase and Oddbjørn were on their way, and then I sent him a message and said, guys, I forgot to tell you the answer.
Yeah. Cliffhanger.
The quiz question was, what is responsible for more deaths than snakes, sharks, and saltwater crocodiles combined in Australia? And I think Chase's guess was cows, which was pretty good. Oddbjørn's guess was bears, which is, that was not a good guess. But Craig actually guessed it off air, and it's the box jellyfish.
You're a kanji. You're a kanji.
Yeah.
Yes.
What did you call me? There's brutal, dangerous, highly venomous jellyfish with, what do they have? Is it 20 foot or 20 meter? No, 20 foot tentacles, up to 20 foot tentacles.
Right, yeah.
That just float. They're transparent. They just float in the water, and by the time you get that wrapped around you, you've got problems.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. That was the cliffhanger. It was absolutely... We were laughing our heads off after, wondering if we should go back and edit it in or something, but we decided not to. Just let it hang. So I got a new question.
I was going to say, you got another one?
Yeah, I got a quiz question for today, and let's see if I can actually remember to give the answer. There's no point me writing it on my notepad, because if you remember correctly last time, I wrote it in massive quiz. I wrote quiz across my notepad. And at the end, half an hour after the episode, I looked down and saw the words quiz and went, oh no, I didn't give the answer. So anyway, I'm relying on you again, Craig.
Okay.
Here it is. What are greengrocers, blue moons, yellow Mondays, and whiskey drinkers? What are greengrocers, blue moons, yellow Mondays, and whiskey drinkers? Do you like that one? You especially like the whiskey drinkers part, wouldn't you? I know exactly what they are. That's me. Do you have any? I mean, you're not allowed to say, Craig, but do you have any?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Never heard of any of those?
What are they?
You'll love the answer. You'll love the answer, but you can't find it out yet.
Okay, no idea, man. No idea at this stage.
Very good. Everyone's racking their brains out there. Some pretty cool news that only came out a few days ago, at least, about 3 days ago. As far as I'm aware, is 3 brothers who crossed the Bass Strait on kayaks. Have you heard about this?
No.
Now, if you're not familiar with the Bass Strait as a non-Australian, if you look at a map of Australia, it has this cute little heart-shaped island down the bottom right, and that's actually part of Australia. That's a state called Tasmania. And in between those, it was once joined to Australia, and then I think rising waters eventually cut it off. So it has a lot of the fauna and flora that we share up here. It's a very, 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 very treacherous stretch of water. I remember when I was young, the Sydney to Hobart yacht race, very famous yacht race, gets entrants from all around the world, US and further afar. And do you remember that year that it was absolutely devastating?
Yeah.
Ridiculously 20-meter waves and stuff just smashing.
You're talking about the one where like 8
yachts.
or 20 people died?
Yeah,
8 people.
yeah. Lots,
I can't remember.
Enough. Yachts were getting smashed to pieces, masts broken, getting torn to shreds. So this is the same stretch of water that these 3 brothers, the Lambers brothers, decided to cross. They were planning on doing some overseas travel, but then that was right when COVID hit. They decided that they would plan something within Australia. It's 340 kilometres is the stretch of water between. It's 211 miles. They landed on 11 islands along the way. Most of them, quite a lot of them were remote and uninhabited. It took them 19 days. And some of the days they were paddling for 10 hours straight. And during those times, as you can imagine, you couldn't rest. You couldn't, get the stove out and have a hot drink. It's not like hiking.
Yeah.
Basically, you're just floating out there. And some of the problems they would encounter would be strong winds or currents. And so they literally couldn't stop paddling because they would start getting blown backwards again. So, pretty brutal territory. I must say, they got a quote here. Our parents didn't like the idea of the trip anyway, but I think they would have hated watching their 3 sons go off in those waves. It was pretty bad. So I think they're talking about the day they left. It was pretty treacherous. I don't think I'd like to watch my 3 sons attempt that stretch of water because it's absolutely unforgiving.
Yeah. 6 people died. Sorry, it was in 1998.
1998.
5 yachts sank and 55 people were rescued by helicopters.
55. It's incredible. Yeah, absolutely brutal.
Got smashed.
Yep, got smashed. But it's quite a long and detailed story, and obviously I'll put that on the show notes so you can look it up. It's a great read though. Just there's lots of their photos there. Look at that, Craig.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just pulled up at this beach. As I said, they stopped at 11 islands along the way, and on one particular island, I can't remember the name of it, they stopped at one particular island that actually had a little shack on it, like a cabin, and coincidentally, when they arrived to that place, they had to hunker down for 7 days because that was Royden Island. They had to hunker down for 7 days because 40-kilometre headwinds set in for 7 days. So just coincidentally, they ended up on the island that actually had a little cabin.
Nice.
And just took it easy. They said it was pretty boring after a few days because it was only a 3-kilometre circumference of the island.
Really?
So they could walk around it in no time at all.
Yeah.
And they'd be back at their cabin again. Oh, here we are again. But yeah, really, really cool story. It's worth reading the whole thing. Just a fantastic feat. Really impressive. There's so many things they mention. So see that picture there, Craig? 2 of the brothers are on a double canoe and one's on a single.
All right.
Yeah. Incredible. The bravery is way beyond what I have in the water. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a bit step up from our canoe trip with Robbie that time, isn't it?
And it's in complete still water.
Yeah.
I will say though that, when I repeated that trip with my dad.
Yeah.
We got smashed crossing that lake on the way back. I mean, nothing like those guys would have seen, but...
actually I've seen footage.
Yeah, it's scary stuff.
Yeah, of course you did, yeah.
It was not cool.
It's not the same.
And that was in a small lake that was not that deep, and at any point I could swim 50 metres to the shore.
God.
Something else I've stumbled upon in the news is the headline of this article is called New VA Program Investigates Outdoor Therapy for Veterans. So this is a US-based article. And VA is Veteran Affairs, so US Veteran Affairs. If I wanted to wrap up the entire story, basically what they're trying to do is, and I mean they're close to doing it, is I guess legitimizing through fact-based research that veterans spending time in the wilderness is extremely beneficial. So return veterans spending time in the wilderness, extremely beneficial for their mental state. And this one particular guy has been taking people out and I guess it's most of the time out of his own pocket, paying for these expeditions and adventures to get these people, into the wilderness, skiing or backcountry skiing, all that sort of stuff. And what they're trying to do is get that to a point where in the future, that can almost be, in a sense, prescribed as and something that they can claim back on. You know what I mean?
Therapy and treatment.
Yeah, almost like a treatment. So they say it much more eloquently than me, if I can. Yeah, that's right. So we're hoping to see it. It becomes more of a thing, so that vets don't feel pressured to take pharmaceuticals. One of the guys says, and what he says off the back of that is, if the Veteran Affairs Task Force finds promising results while exploring outdoor recreation therapy, costs for participation, that's a difficult word to say, costs for participation in programs could be covered. So no different for paying for a prescription. So if you go on one of these adventures, to be covered by your health, your government health. So
that's got to have benefits, getting out.
It's we've spoken about this before. Various articles have popped up over the years,
of course,
that I've bought, but they haven't been about veterans, but they've definitely been about mental health. And we are, there's a statistic here: more than 1 in 10 veterans have a substance abuse problem. 37 to 50% of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans have been diagnosed with the mental disorder. Often unfortunately, that leads to self-medication. So we know the benefits. It's easy for us to say the benefits of getting in the wilderness, but people who don't have the opportunity or the equipment to do it, or don't know anybody who can take them out there, don't really know. But we know remember, it was one of our first guests, Tanya Hodgson, the trail runner. When we interviewed her, she was quite happy to openly talk about substance abuse earlier on in her life, and how her love or discovered passion for trail running in the outdoors overtook that, because she said, she admits to having an addictive personality, but she just replaced it with a really healthy one.
Yeah, sure.
And that's what you'd like to think, that if you were taking these guys out, that they, that a percentage of them would say, hey, this is pretty cool. I might start hiking, or I might start kayaking or canoeing or whatever. Hopefully it sparks something within them, and it shows them that being out in nature has a lot of benefits. Anyway, I'm preaching to the converted here.
Yeah, everything we've seen points to success there, I reckon.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool article. Something different. Just thought I'd mention it. Now, Tom's Magical Mystery Media Mashup.
Yes.
A few different things coming through here. Have you ever seen the YouTube channel Ghost Town Living? Do you even watch much YouTube?
Yeah, I do, but not that.
Yeah. Because I watch it in place of
television.
Normal television. I actually don't watch normal television for the most part. It's this guy called Brent and his mate in the US, and they pooled their funds together and they bought an abandoned mining town called Cerro Gordo. And he started doing these YouTube updates, and I think he got it right around, actually I think they purchased it on Friday the 13th, 2020. So yeah, during COVID, I'm pretty sure they bought it. And then that's when he started doing his YouTube channel, and it's just blown up. And he's just this cool dude who's I don't know, he just seems normal. Like, he's not trying to be anything, but he's extremely enthusiastic about the history of the town and the mining boom and everything like that. And so he crawls down these mines and finds all this treasure. And when I'm saying treasure, I mean the kind of treasure I like old cigarette tins and buttons and bits of machinery and stuff like that. And he's got plans to, he lives there full time, and he's by himself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. And he just throws, and he's so far away from nearest town, and he just throws the drone up and gets fantastic footage and puts these cool little videos together. And his plan is to, I think, rebuild it to a state where people can actually come and stay there in some of the cabins and experience it with him. And I guess he would do tours and that sort of thing. But pretty cool concept. It just is almost like a childhood dream to think that you could purchase an entire
it was an old
town,
gold mine town.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't specifically gold. No, it wasn't.
Just a mining town.
Just a mining town. Yeah. It was
right.
Other precious minerals.
And he's not out there, gathering.
No, he's not trying to strike it rich. No. He's just bought it. It just happens to be a mining town.
Sounds interesting. I reckon that'll
really
be a good watch.
His videos go for ages, but they're intriguing, and it's just like it kind of feels like you're hanging out with him.
Oh, cool.
Easy to listen to, easy to watch, and what strikes you about him is his passion as well. He'll talk about rebuilding a cabin, and the guy's not all talk. Like, he's out there getting stuck into it, doing these things. He even says in his earlier videos, I don't even know how to do half of this stuff. I've either taught myself or learned it off somebody. Or
yeah, good.
It's really cool, man.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, just such a, the old sea change and the tree change. Well, I don't know what this one would be called, but he's definitely embraced it.
Yeah. And
I'm a little bit jealous.
Yeah, I reckon.
I started Googling abandoned towns in Australia to see if I could afford one. This next one's really cool. Our good friend of the podcast, Robin, who happens to be of the male gender, he sent me a message the other day on Instagram and said, in the spirit of Green Forest, which was a video that I recommended in a media mashup or a couple of episodes back, and I mentioned it again in the last episode, if you remember correctly. Audibien fast-forwarded most of it.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's funny.
Robin sent me a link to... Now, I'm going to try and pronounce this YouTube channel name. Naguilero. I'm not sure if it's meant to have that Spanish twang or not. But anyway, he's a pretty cool dude. And he gets out there, and it's a combination of so many things. And he has a canvas teepee tent. So he turns up and lops down a couple of dead branches and makes a teepee, and then puts the canvas underneath it. And he has one of those fold-out wood stoves, and he dabbles in a bit of bushcraft, makes a few things like a kind of a little spit to put a whole chicken, by the way. The dude brings a whole chicken out into the wilderness.
Perfect.
Like an entire chook. That did strike me as a bit unusual, but he mowed it down. He must have been hiking pretty hard that day.
Yeah, good.
And then other meals he makes, he's cooking these kebab style things. So he made some spikes and then put all meat and vegetables on it, and then cooked it. And then when that was kind of done, then he wrapped Swiss cheese, or might have been cheddar. I'm not right up on my cheeses. He wrapped cheese around it and then wrapped bacon around the cheese, and then put that back on again. So it's just this foot-long kebab wrapped in bacon and cheese. And really, I mean, the effort that he's gone to take these things out there, and then he sets himself up with. At the start, he's got the stove. It's a really cool little stove, actually. It's about a foot wide and probably a foot long and half a foot wide. It's got little feet and it sits up off the ground, and he has the lid off and uses it as a little, almost like a barbecue, puts wood in it and cooks over the top of it. And it means that he's not damaging the forest floor or anything because it's sitting up. I'm sure the heat is probably burning some of the moss, but it's definitely less invasive. But then he moves, and I think it's the second or third day he moves, and the weather's really bad and quite cold, and he moves the stove inside and then puts the chimney through the teepee, and obviously it heats the inside of his tent for him. And then he's cooking things like bacon on the top lid. So he's inside the tent, it's heating inside the tent, and then he's cooking bacon on this metal lid. Oh, it was really cool. I just, and if that wasn't enough to blow your mind, there was this one particular part very early on where he set up his camp, and then he has this little mini paint set, like oil paints, and this little mini easel, and he takes out a little canvas, and you see him behind the canvas, and he's painting away. And I thought, oh, that's a cool thing to do, take your painting set out.
Yeah.
And then he brings the camera around the other side, and this painting is totally epic. It is so unbelievably good. It is really cool.
Okay.
I cannot tell you. In fact, I can't tell you so much. I almost want to quickly I've got the volume off, but I'll let this ad play.
You've got to back this up. You feel like you're giving it too much.
Put it this way, mate. Right now, I would put that on my, I'd put it on my wall all day. So look at him here. He's painting. Can you see that?
Yeah.
There's his little paint kit.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And look where he's so he's painting. Yeah, he's living the dream, right?
Look at this.
Look at this green, beautiful. So he's sitting there. The little wood fire's going. He's got a lantern there, and he's got his paints out and he's painting away. And I thought this is nice. This is nice. Haven't seen the guy's artwork. Not completely sure if it's going to be a hideous thing after he's done. It's really dragging on, but let me check that out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, right. I like it. That's so good.
I know. And he's not even finished. He goes back and does a bit more work to it.
All right, man. Let's wrap this up. Let's get the quiz answer, and we'll introduce Paul. I want to watch the rest of this.
Yeah, well, you just want to, just stop the recording. We'll just sit here and watch.
It looks so good.
How long does it go for? 1 hour or something?
That's great.
Yeah, it's beautiful, eh? Absolutely beautiful. So if you like the slower paced videos, so it doesn't have to be a big, massive adventure thing, and absolutely no dialogue, no talking whatsoever, no narration, nothing, just the sounds of nature, and absolutely super talented artist, then you really got to check that out. I loved it. Something else that's come across my radar is, remember Survivor, man?
Sure, yep.
A lot of, I know a lot of people who hear that name have got mixed opinions, and Les Stroud's his real name, isn't it?
Yeah.
I also have mixed opinions because when we first got into bushcraft and all that sort of stuff, like prior to, we kind of migrated into more traditional hiking later on, but when we were first into things, he was definitely a big influence, and I watched all of his stuff. Just later on, something didn't quite sit right with me. I think didn't he start doing a like searching for Bigfoot show or something? I know that's when people started to say, "Oh, all right, okay."
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
I can't remember what happened.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up.
I remember he used to use a hammock, right? So we'd kind of drawn some, you know, a little bit of a link there that really liked his stuff. But then, wasn't he being like stupid with bears and stuff as well?
No, I'm not aware of any of that, but yeah, he most definitely was involved in I wouldn't say promoting, but I'd say going with people to look for Bigfoot.
For Bigfoot, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's happening now?
Well, his son is now 16. In fact, spoiler alert, he actually turns 16 in episode 1 of a new show he's produced, which has a very good title. It's Survivor Man and Son. No prizes there for guessing what it's about. See, I've watched episode 1. I think there's another 2 episodes up there. I don't know how this came to be, whether it aired in the States or Canada or whatever. But now, however it's aired, he's obviously owns the rights to it, and he's put out the episodes for free. And I went into it a pretty skeptical. There's idiosyncrasies that kind of grind on me. It's really horrible to say that. I've been in front and behind the camera before, and I'm even doing this podcast. I know there's people that would think, God, I hate the way he does that, or whatever. I get it, right? There's people that just rub you up the wrong way. But I watched it, and I have to say I enjoyed it. And apart from some weird editing, again, how many TV shows have I produced? Exactly 0. So I have no right to speak of somebody else's editing techniques. But it was good. I just say it was good. I actually enjoyed it. His son's a good kid, and they work well together. And you should probably check it out, Craig.
Mate, you've just given me some flashbacks. How many years has it been since you dumped all that Stroud stuff onto a hard drive for me and said, "Watch this, man"? I think it was.
We'll put it this way: it would have been
10 years ago.
Yeah, it would have been just after my first son was born. So yeah, 9 to 10 years ago. Years.
And yeah, it's kind of slipped my consciousness for a long time. I can't wait to see that now.
It's worth watching. And 2 of my boys swung in and said, "Oh, what's this, Dad?" And I said, "Oh, it's a guy I used to watch, but now he's got his son with him." And they sat down and watched a bit of it as well and said, cool. "Oh, wow, this is cool." And it is. I cannot take anything away from it. It is well worth watching. Something else well worth watching. Our friend Chase Tucker of Chase Mountains, who was on the last episode as a guest. Our favourite Australian living in Spain, I would think, is the only one I know. He's been putting out heaps of content over the Christmas and New Year break. So jump on Chase Mountains on YouTube and check that out. There's heaps of different stuff too, from recipes to fitness, to strengthening your knees, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, he's really been getting stuck into it. So yeah, well done, mate. But what I wanted to talk to you about was he put out a video for his 50,000, so his 50K subs special, and he responds to YouTube comments, like his favorite YouTube comments off his videos.
All right.
And all different videos, not just one in particular. And he gets slaughtered. Like, people just absolutely, these keyboard warriors, unbelievable. Some of the comments, this is my favorite. This made me laugh my head off. This one guy said, "I can tell by your hands that you are not a bushman, nor are you experienced. You, my friend, are a casual walker."
Seriously.
Unbelievable. Oh, man, there was so many. There was people just hammering him for all sorts of reasons. And I mean...
And so Chase has delivered this in a video just so...
Which is hilarious, because he just... Because there was one guy, it is funny, Chase is a quiet guy, but he's got a great sense of humor. The way it kind of flies under the radar, and he'll just mumble stuff under his breath in it, and it just makes me laugh. But yeah, there's one particular. Look at the thumbnail. he's pretty much just taking he's taking the piss out of himself. It's fantastic. What was I going to say? He just gets mowed down. So that's what I was going to say is I left a comment for him this afternoon. He hasn't seen it yet. I said I had a good laugh at some of these. Anyway, that's right. Anyway, I'll let you get back to your pansy hands, and so you can go and get ready for your next casual walk. ... across the entire country of Spain.
Yeah.
Like, if you remember correctly, he walked across the whole country, the entire country. And this guy's saying he's a casual walk because he doesn't have blisters or something on his hands. So I can't... it's hilarious. People don't know what they're talking about, but they're happy to tell you. That's funny. Anyway, the way that he delivers it made me laugh. It was quite entertaining. If you want to see Chase at times lost for words, it's well worth watching.
Yeah, I bet.
Couple of shout outs this week. An individual emailed me, and for reasons, well, I'll tell you what the reasons are. He's in the military. He can't say where he's from. And for that reason, I don't even want to mention his name or anything. Let's just call him John.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't want to touch on anything there that could be, I don't know what I'm saying. You know what I mean, listeners? Yes, he wrote an email asking for some book recommendations. And so I kind of went through my bookshelf and gave him a whole bunch. I wasn't quite sure what genre he was looking for because I have a wide array of things that move, I guess, from adventure type stuff through to survival, through the mechanics of the human body and all that sort of stuff, but also through to the more spiritual sort of things. So I gave him a little cross section of that, and he wrote back and said that he thought it'd be good to have a kind of recommended books section on the website. And I said, that's a great idea, mate. Like it's feedback like that because he was trying to look through and find. And I mean, the thing is, I have got book reviews. I wouldn't call them book reviews, book recommendations on there, but they're scattered throughout all the show notes.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So there's not one location where you can see every book I've recommended. But I thought it was a great idea, and I've definitely got it on the list. So yeah, thanks for writing in, John, and it's cool to, he's looking for some reading material because it probably gets lonely out there. And yeah, I hope it helped, but it was good to hear from someone. And yeah, thanks for your service, mate. A guy called Braden hit us up on Instagram. He said he loves the podcast. He just discovered it a few weeks ago. He does a lot of hiking in New Hampshire, and it's so cool to listen to the adventures we have in Australia. And I guess they're always awesome. That is one thing he is right about. So yeah, thanks, Braden, for touching base with us, mate. Appreciate it. Chris also said that he came across the podcast recently on Spotify, and he's up to episode 17. That was a few weeks ago now, so he should be up to 30 by now, I guess. But he did say, I think you have 30 episodes. And he said, are you guys going to keep making episodes? Yes, we are. We're here right now, mate. We're doing it. And he says he enjoys listening to them as he's driving to a hike. That's a pretty cool thing to do. Listen about outdoor stuff while you're driving to do outdoor stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, mate. And he said that he closed off by saying, "It seems we agree on a lot of things, and you guys, in inverted commas, get it." Cool. Another thing I said was, yeah, it's good. I'm sure there's a lot of like-minded people. I mean, there's tons of people that write to us and touch base with us. So, yeah, we're all in this together, eh? We're all enjoying the outdoors together, and I think that this, what I really liked about when I mentioned that video from Robin, the one the guy painting the picture in the woods.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
That's an example of someone now within our podcast community giving us recommendations, which is cool because it's coming full circle, because I don't know everything. I don't know anything. And Craig knows less than that. So it's, if people can feed back into the loop and then we put that out. John, not his real name, the military guy gave us a suggestion for the website to have a recommended book section. That's a great idea. We don't get those ideas unless people feed back into the loop. And I'm sure there's other people listening that go, "Oh, what a great idea. I'm so glad he suggested that." Doesn't mean it's done yet. I might not do it for months, but it's a cool idea, right?
That might be the truth, Tom.
Yeah, that might be it, man.
Oh, no.
Hey, quiz answer.
Hooray.
The quiz answer. You know
Yes.
what I've done is in my notes now, I put the quiz answer after everything so
Makes
I don't
sense.
miss it. Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
Can you just do the question?
Yeah,
again?
of course, man. That's how we roll.
Because
That's
I
how we
can't remember it.
roll. What are greengrocers, blue moons, yellow Mondays, and whiskey drinkers? Do you want to have a stab at anything, Craig, or you just want to?
There's all colours there. And
Yeah,
then
there's.
There's
I'm gonna have a sip of water.
they're all rare, sort of. Blue moon's like occasional, but whiskey drinkers, that's every day, surely. I don't know, man.
Look, I don't think you're going to get it, to be honest.
Okay.
They are all varieties of Australian cicada or cicadas, depending on where you're from.
Really?
Yeah, and there's plenty more cool names as well. They're just four that I picked out.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I didn't realize, to be honest, this is what I like about, another thing I like about this podcast, or rather the research involved. The quiz was another suggestion, or it was a question that sparked the idea to have it from another listener. But it also gets me learning a little along the way, because not only did I see those, but I went to this really cool cicada, or I guess like a reference page, and it had the most beautiful varieties. I didn't even know that we had more than one in Australia.
Is that right?
Oh, you should see that. I mean, the colours.
Yeah.
The colours really lend themselves to those names, just to put it. Like the blue moons, they are
bright blue?
Dark. Like sky blue.
Oh, sky blue.
Yeah, beautiful. And the yellow Mondays, they're golden yellow.
Right.
The whiskey drinkers kind of stagger around. That's a joke.
Oh, jeez.
I can't remember what colour they were. But yeah, that's, and obviously the green grocers, bright green.
Righto.
Yeah, cool, hey?
Cool, man. That was a good one.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That leads us into Paul Barach, our guest. Craig, did you enjoy that chat with him?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
It definitely, we got to dig a lot deeper than I first anticipated. Paul's an author of a book, and we do talk about that quite a bit in this this next bit coming up. And he writes about his Shikoku Pilgrimage, and we get kind of deep into that, and there's really not much more I can say, except I guess let you guys listen to it yourself. But I think we got some really great insights and stories out of Paul, and actually had such a good time doing it. And as always with our guests, after the recording stops, we end up talking for quite a while after because we're enjoying it so much. But
yeah, you can tell it was a wild adventure he had, and
it was wild,
pretty much life changing for him. And I reckon, we had a good chat with him, eh?
Yeah, we absolutely did. Jump onto the show notes afterwards, and there'll be all of his Instagram and everything, so you can follow him, and links to purchase his book as well, which sounds really cool. Anything else to add, mate?
No, let's do it.
All right, we'll leave you to it, guys. Thanks for joining us for the first podcast of the new year. We will endeavor to bring you many, many more. Let's have an absolute cracker. Take care, guys. Talk to you next time. Bye. Paul Barach, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know where to start with you, Paul. There's a lot to cover, and I don't want to put too many labels on you right at the start for the listeners, because there's a lot of things I want to dig into. But obviously, you completed the Shikoku Pilgrimage in Japan, and that's something that inevitably we're gonna hit pretty hard later on in our conversation. But leading up to that, mate, I just want to get an idea of your where your passion for hiking came from, how you got interested in it, and how it's and then how it's grown beyond that.
Sure. So, unlike I think a lot of people, my love for hiking and the outdoors wasn't instant. Like I was definitely dragged on a lot of hikes by my parents early on. I remember a very specific one where I was just covered in black flies the entire time, and I don't think I stepped foot anywhere near a tree for like a year or two after that. So I would honestly say
what age was that, Paul? Sorry.
Oh God, somewhere around like 8 or 9, I think.
Okay, that's a good age to get out there. Unfortunate result, but good age. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think my biggest, like the timeline is I was in Spain for 3 months when I was in college. I was doing a study abroad, but I didn't have a bicycle, and my school was on the other side of the town of Granada. So I just ended up walking 6-8 miles a day, just and then longer to be around the city. And when I got back to college, I was so used to just walking every day that I started taking these long walks in the school's arboretum. And after that, I don't know, I was kind of into hiking, but not really. Like I'd go out, but it wasn't, a draw or anything. It was just, something to do if a friend recommended it. Mm-hmm. But then living in South Korea, I did a little bit more hiking when I was teaching out there.
Oh, yeah.
But it was really the Shikoku Pilgrimage that got me super into it, because, suddenly I was hiking, 18 to 20 miles a day for 42 days.
Which is a lot of miles and a lot of days.
Yeah.
What's the terrain like in, did you say Korea?
Yeah, I was in South Korea for a year teaching English. It is mountainous.
Is that right?
That's
jungle, thick sort of rainforesty stuff, or
not really rainforesty. I would say more like kind of oak forest.
Oh wow!
Oak and pine. If you've ever been out to like the Sierras, it's kind of that jagged, just heavy forest style of hiking.
Right.
That leads you up to really some beautiful areas once you get up to the top. Because, most of Korea is a mountainous country, which is why both they've had a lot of trouble, growing enough rice to feed themselves. but they also produce some of the best fruit in the world, I think.
Oh, wow. So tropical types of fruit?
No, apples. They make amazing apples.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, like those Asian pears, those tan,
not
really
the
crisp
nashi
fruits.
pears.
Yeah,
those, like a big round ball, but they're crisp.
Oh yeah, like size of a softball,
Juicy.
and they just sell them on the street. They were amazing.
Oh,
That's
wow.
one of the things I miss the most from South Korea.
Oh, that's one of the best fruits of Asia. Full stop. Those nashi pears.
Yeah, hands down.
They're epic. Say, the size and the water content is so good.
Oh yeah, and they just sell them on blankets on the street. So I'd be walking to class and just buy lunch for $3, and it was just one of those nashi pears.
That's great. Oh, that's interesting. And were you there for 3 years, did you say?
No, I was just there 1 year.
Oh, 1 year. That's still a significant amount of time. Did you get invited out to hike, or was that something you just thought, well, I'm already used to walking, I'm going to just start walking further on my days off?
Honestly, it was a combination of boredom, and also the Korean culture is huge into hiking.
Oh, is that right?
Like, it's just what everyone does. So like,
wow.
everyone hikes, and to, point out a stereotype that I think is pretty true, everyone drinks. And so like, I'd go hiking and I'd be starting at the base of a mountain where there was a soju stand. So basically like a tent, like canopy bar. And then you'd like buy your soju, and then you'd hike up the mountain, and there'd be another soju stand at the top.
Craig's just Googling that because that's the sort of hiking he'd like to do.
Yeah.
He's sick of carrying his whiskey everywhere.
Perfect.
And honestly, it took me a couple of months before I realized, because I'd see like older men like on the train in hiking gear, like falling over. And I'd be like, oh shit, he's having a stroke, or he's like in trouble.
He's hiked
and then
too
eventually,
hard. You've gone too hard, old man.
Yeah, he just pounded too many sojus while he was hiking up a mountain.
Oh, that's funny because we've got a lot of UK followers and Irish as well, and g'day guys if you're listening, but they have a pretty strong kind of drinking hiking culture as well.
Really?
Yeah, especially the English, because of the way that it's so densely populated there. They have a rule which we were speaking to a Swedish guest, and they've got a similar rule where you have the right to roam freely through other people's property, as long as you just respect kind of closing the gates and stuff like that. In some properties, you're allowed to stay one night. In others, you need to keep moving through, if I'm correct. But
so by stay one night, do you mean like you just camp out on their lawn, or they legally have to like let you in and cook you tea?
No. We're talking about, some people I'm sure would come down and say g'day and invite you in, but for the most part, we're talking about sort of farmland. So yeah, you could just set up camp down the back of someone's property, and it's just fair use.
That is so
a fantastic
cool.
initiative.
Cool.
Yeah, it is, and so what that does is solve the problem of no hiking routes, because they've been basically taken away by farmland. So yeah, you're allowed to pass through people's properties, but inevitably what happens is you'll hike for 6-8 hours or whatever, and you'll pop up in a little town and wander straight into the pub for some hot chips and a beer, and then off you trot. So yeah,
I gotta go hiking, and
you gotta do this. Yeah, you gotta do that. We'll hook you up with a few people that are
the ultimate pub crawl, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It is. Yeah, it's a pub crawl, which you kind of saying it's the healthy version.
Yeah.
But it's quite interesting. So yeah, to hear that, and for me, it's interesting to hear that they've got such a big hiking culture in Korea, because predominantly from our experience through the exposure of this podcast and our website and Instagram and everything over the years is statistically over 60% of our listeners are from the US, and another good chunk from Canada. So it kind of tells a story right there of the amount of people that are into it. I wouldn't say that Australia has a huge hiking culture, but the people that are into it really kind of live by it. But yeah, I mean, I'll put it this way, mate. I could spend my whole kind of youth not knowing anybody who was into it. It was something that Craig and I got into later in life, and our eyes were opened, Paul.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. Like just the more that I've hiked, you mentioned that, I've been hiking for a long time. After Shikoku, I came back. I started hiking all around my home state of Washington. Then I moved to Denver. I did the Four Passes loop out there. I'd done the Wonderland Trail out here. And then, I hiked the whole Pacific Crest Trail.
What's the length of that? It's like
2,650 miles. I'm not sure the kilometers.
Yeah, that's
wow.
That's a bit of a hike.
Mexican border to the Canadian border.
Really?
Yeah, down the west coast. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah. Over the spine of the Cascades.
Wow.
The Cascade Range.
4,000 kilometers just for our. So I was going to say imperial, just for our metric listeners.
That's amazing, mate. How long did that take you?
5.5 months.
Right.
Wow.
And life-changing.
So, and this was post Shikoku, which we will still get into, but this was after that, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of planted the seed in some respect.
Shikoku planted the seed for a lot afterwards. Like, I learned a lot of lessons about life, and I learned a lot about hiking.
Yeah. Well, let's go there, mate. How do you go from, a little bit of hiking here and there, and then all of a sudden discovering a hike in Japan, which is, I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, is vastly different from hiking in your home state.
Yeah, especially when you don't speak Japanese.
That's the best way. I don't speak American either, mate. I just wing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny just before we go into it, but every I bicycled across the United States after the Shikoku Pilgrimage as well, and hiking the Pacific Crest Trail and the Colorado Trail. And every time I'm about to go out and do something, everyone's like, isn't that going to be like really hard? Aren't you like worried about it? And in the back of my mind, I'm always like, yeah, but it'll be in English.
It'll never be that hard. It'll never be Japanese hard.
So yeah, I think Tom's actually been to Japan, and I think...
You think I have?
I know that he has. And the Shikoku, is that like one of the best? If you were going to go to Japan, was that picked because it was on a bucket list of yours? Like, did you realise that was the pinnacle of Japanese hiking? Is it the best place to go?
It is. I mean, it's one of the big ones, but it's mostly done by retirees. And the retirees are doing it in these 2-week bus tours.
Oh,
wow.
Because, most people can't just take, a month and a half to 2 months off to, just wander. So it's this ancient pilgrimage route. I think it's somewhere, it's fuzzy how old it is, but somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500 years old.
Wow.
Based on this very well-known Buddhist monk and holy man named Kukai. And, basically a couple hundred people nowadays go and walk it. At least when I did in 2010, maybe a dozen Westerners every year. But so what got me into it is this weird series of events where basically, I don't know what TV was like in Australia in the 90s, but like in the 80s and 90s growing up, there were ninjas in every cartoon.
There was ones that looked like turtles. We had those ones.
Yeah. Well, some of them looked like turtles too, and some of them looked like G.I. Joes. And
oh, yeah.
It was
Snake Eyes, brother.
Yep, exactly.
Did you guys have monkey magic?
No, what was monkey magic?
So monkey magic, I'll tell you something, Craig, that you won't know. It's very interesting. Monkey magic is a Japanese created series based on Chinese mythology. I think I've got that the right way around. In fact, I know I have because Monkey was a famous Japanese actor who later, by the time I got to Japan, he'd pop up on TV shows as a guest. And I'd go, oh my God, that's Monkey Magic, that's Monkey. And they'd say, oh wow, you know Monkey? I'm like, heck yes, I know Monkey. We watched that stuff all.
It was all spoken in Japanese, and then there was someone doing the voiceover in English.
Those fantastic voiceovers.
And the lips never matched up. It was so cool.
So like I was just kind of obsessed with ninjas when I was younger because, like they can disappear, fly, and behead people. So like what else do you want when you're 8?
That's the 3 things you want in your own arsenal and in a friend, I would suggest.
Yeah. It's the Swiss Army knife of skills.
Yes. I've ticked the big 3 and I've got a few jokes up my sleeve. What a good mate.
So anyway, like that kind of led on to just an interest in meditation and Japanese art and, anime. And it all kind of culminated when I was in college and taking this class on Japanese religion and culture. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like I wasn't majoring in Japan at all. And it was more an idea of, okay, well, I'm sure they'll spend at least a week on ninjas, so this will be an easy B.
Yeah, that's because you know everything about ninjas by then.
Exactly.
You wouldn't even have to study. Yeah.
No.
So were you saying you took an entire subject on Japanese religion, or it was one component of a broader subject?
It was one class.
Class, okay.
Yeah, just
that's not
a
enough
class
time to talk ninjas.
No. I was figuring, it's a semester's worth. So one week we'd be like, all right, here's how awesome ninjas are. And I'd be like, dope, I got you.
Good. Next week, samurai. Yep. And so on.
Yep. Next week, the weird thing about tentacles and where that comes from. But so I never learned about ninjas, so I didn't do as well in that class as I thought. But there was this one day where the teacher kind of rolled out this, TV with a VHS, which tells your listeners how old I am. And
don't worry, we're there.
Yeah, she pushes in the VHS, and it's this documentary about Shikoku.
Adjust the tracking for a second.
Adjust the tracking, fast forwards. And so it was this documentary on Shikoku, and I'd never heard of it. But this guy is like, praying at these temples and walking by these, vast rice fields and meditating under waterfalls and wearing this sedge hat and the white vest. Mm-hmm. And as I'm watching it,
which is a uniform, isn't it? I mean, it's the kind of the clothing you would adopt just for the listeners to embark on that pilgrimage, isn't it?
Yep. So to sidebar, the staff you carry with you at all times, and also represents Kukai, who is with you at all times on the pilgrimage. Yep. So when you go inside of a place to sleep at night, you always have to very respectfully wipe off the bottom of the staff and place it, in a corner of respect in the room, upright. Mm-hmm. You wear a white vest, which has a kanji running down the back that says 2 traveling as 1, because you and Kukai are traveling together. And the other very standard thing is to wear a wide brim hat with the kanji for Kukai in the front, because Kukai is there to guide you.
Oh, cool. So you're pretty identifiable by locals and other pilgrimage undertakers.
Yeah,
at a glance.
I think if I wasn't wearing it, it's such a rural island and so few Westerners were doing it, then they would have just come up and be like, what are you doing here? What are you?
I thought you were going to say they would have the police called.
Oh, maybe, man, because I got a lot of double takes, and I remember one night I was walking by this house and this kid who was playing in a yard like runs out and starts like talking to me and pulling at my sleeve. And he pulls me into the like his house and then runs inside to get his brother just to point at me and be like, look, a Westerner.
They are real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice place to be. I spent a year and a half in the middle of Tokyo, so it was quite a different experience. But when I did travel on a few short trips into the rural areas, you definitely get attention pretty quickly, especially being 6'2" and blonde hair.
Yeah, well, 6'1", pale and bald. I feel you, man.
Get lots of you learn to duck your head pretty quick, don't you, Paul? Mm-hmm. I got a few injuries from trying to run into doorways too quick.
Oh yeah, I think I've probably lost second grade math from the number of times I banged my head on a doorway. But anyway, so I was watching this documentary, and just for whatever reason, I just suddenly like saw myself on that screen doing the same pilgrimage.
I find that one little sentence there, I find that fascinating. And I'm not saying I find it fascinating because it's something I couldn't imagine. I find it fascinating because it's the sort of daydreaming that I've done in the past about certain things like other trails. So for you to be just wrapped up in that moment and think, that could be me under that waterfall meditating, I think that just
was my exact
absolutely
thought.
Cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like a mini epiphany right there.
Yeah, and the thing is, then I like basically forgot about it for 8 years.
Oh wow!
I was reminded of the pilgrimage again when I was in Japan, because I was just looking at stuff to do when I went and visited Japan on my vacation.
Oh wow! So
and
you went over there just purely on a vacation, and you'd forgotten about that film that you watched.
Yeah, so, I mean, like you get out of college, and I don't know what you guys were like, but I was a fucking mess for age 21 till, I mean, who the fuck knows?
Yep.
Yeah, it's something like that. Craig and I played in a band for quite a few years together, so yeah, on a similar trajectory, and then I spent many years after that just surfing and sleeping. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, see, I wasn't even surfing.
Just doing the sleeping.
Yeah, doing the sleeping and the drinking.
Yep, good.
So anyway, I was teaching English in South Korea, and just wiki travel reading through. I was like, oh yeah, the Shikoku Pilgrimage. I remember I had that weird vision thing back in college, and then got back and actually got this really good job working at Microsoft as a office manager, and I was just sitting at my desk getting more and more depressed about the fact that it was like, okay, so this is what life is going to be, I guess.
Yeah, I've had my fun, and it's time to lock down and forget about all that.
Yep, just, who needs adventure? I have spreadsheets. And so then, this one day I was just like, okay, you know what? This cannot be the end. I just need that last fix, man. I just want that last cigarette, and then I'm totally quitting. And I was like, well, what can I do? And then the vision came back, and I was like, that's it. I will hike the Shikoku Pilgrimage. Mm-hmm. And at no point in the following, 3 to 6 months of preparation did I ever think, that's it, I'll learn to read a map. Or that's it, I'll learn Japanese, or check if it's the hottest summer on record, or maybe figure out if my shoes fit.
You do those things, you do those en route.
Exactly.
I love that. That's commitment, and it's also diving into something without. Oh, look, there's merit in that. I think. I'm sure you'll probably unpack later in hindsight. I think there's merit to jumping into something a little bit unprepared, but being able to push through personally and accomplish it.
Yeah, I think, I would definitely recommend that if any listener is at all interested in hiking the Shikoku Pilgrimage, definitely do more preparation than I did. And maybe even buy my book on Amazon.
Yeah, he'll tell you all about it.
But the theory that I always had was, and something I've kept coming back to in my life, was just stop telling yourself what you can't do and just find out.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Hey, Paul, I've got a ninja friend here that I do a lot of adventures with. Did you have any buddies that you sort of bounce these ideas off? Did you go hiking with other people, or are you pretty much in a solo frame of mind? What's going on in your head there?
Just before I left, honestly, I think I was 28. And so I had, a wide friend group, and I was like, I'm going to go do this. And they're like, that's awesome. We're going to keep going to our jobs and building equity so that we can eventually own a home. And I was just like, yeah, that sounds all so boring.
Yeah.
But I'll never get you and you'll never get me. So yeah, I was always thinking like, I'm going to go do this alone because I'm a good enough friend not to be like, no, you should also quit your job.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but was there ever a time where it was kind of like, oh man, I can't do this on my own. I need someone with me, or you were just happy?
Constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly. I was just like, I wish there was one more person here to stop me from making all these dumb decisions I keep making.
Yeah.
Did you, Paul, did you have any, when you came back, I'm sorry to jump ahead a little bit, but just on the topic of friends, when you came back, was there any difficulty in kind of rekindling those friendships based on the fact that when you left, they had no interest in your crazy idea, and you came back and completing your crazy idea, and they're still, buying their second house and settling down? Was there any difficulty in rekindling any of those relationships?
Not really. I've just, this wasn't the first crazy idea I'd ever had. So anyone who'd remained friends with me was like, oh yeah, Paul, he goes with crazy ideas.
He disappears. And when he gets back, we all still drink beer, brother.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the hardest thing that I found coming back from, Shikoku, the bike trip, especially the PCT, that was the hardest one to come back from. Is that, the first week or two, everyone's just like, oh man, what happened? And you're like, this happened. And then, oh man, and then this happened. And then this crazy thing happened. And they're just like, what? That's crazy. But then like 2 to 3 months later, when you've actually like processed it and been like, oh, I understand what that meant, or how that changed me, or like why I'm different now, no one's asking you any more questions. Everyone's just like, you went off, you came back, we've moved on. Why are you still want to talk about it?
Yeah, why do you still want to talk about that thing? Well, because it was 3 or 4 months of your life, and because it had an impact on you. I think, had you had that conversation with, like-minded people, there'd be a different response. But it's definitely, I've worked at places where they say the same thing about me. It's always, oh, Tom's off doing he's solo canoeing a river for 4 days by himself, and which is the only way to solo, by the way, is by yourself. Yeah. Just to clarify that.
Pro tip.
We're always about pro tips here, mate. And what I found was that I'd take myself so much out of the urban world that when I'd return, I'd And even just for a 4 or 5 day trip, I'd be questioning everything, probably too much, but I just couldn't understand. I remember sitting at work one day and everyone's running around busy, and I'm thinking, your problems are not only self-imposed, but they don't matter. Nobody cares if if that document doesn't get to the client in 30 minutes or 60 minutes. Nobody cares. Nobody dies. If you don't set up your campsite correctly and a storm blows in and you get hypothermia, or you drop all your food off the side of a cliff, or don't bring enough, then you could die, okay? Or you could get yourself in some serious problems.
That is exactly one of the things I realized on the PCT, which was like, it's what makes hiking and backpacking so important, is that you don't deal with bullshit problems. You deal with real problems.
Yeah, good
and
point.
you got to like care about the real things.
Yes. And
like,
push the other shit aside for a little bit, because like you say, there's real things to consider. Where am I staying tonight, and is it safe?
Yeah, and like also the rewards are so big. When again, like the Pacific Crest Trail, which is the next book I'm going to write after fighting monks and burning mountains.
Fantastic.
Is there was this morning where I was taking down my tent, frozen morning. My fingers kept freezing whenever I'd take my tent down, because the metal was so cold, and my fingers still go numb whenever it's slightly cold.
I thought you were going to say just thinking about it.
I was telling someone that I was like, yeah, my fingers go numb every morning when I'm taking down my tent, and they're like, why are you putting yourself through that? That sounds awful. And it's like, because once the tent's down and my fingers warm up, I'm out here still.
Yeah.
Like, why are you sitting in traffic to go to a job you don't like?
You've put
for
this
money.
You've put this most eloquently before, Paul, and that is, you said something along the lines of hiking to hike versus hiking for fun. And I think that's what you're starting to touch on there. And would you like to unpack that? Do you remember that, what I'm referring to?
I think so.
Yeah, it was
uh,
basically you were saying that some people go out there and they hike because they think that hiking might be fun. But then when they get out there and they realize it's not fun, there's a problem.
Yeah, it was about the PCT and my theory of it.
Of why people don't complete it, essentially, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's differences and it's not universal, but a lot of the people who quit, whether it was the first day, which blew my fucking mind. Or,
Mate, it happens. Wow. It happens.
I know, but it's like, you quit your job to do this and probably rented out your apartment. Did you have an inkling that maybe you didn't want to do this?
That's when people tend to let the inner voice can be good and both bad. And I think when it paints a fairy tale of, watching sunsets, sipping coffee and meeting pretty girls on the trail, all of a sudden that comes crashing back when you on the end of the first day, you can't feel your shoulders and your ankles are shot. Yeah.
And I mean, that was something on the Shikoku Pilgrimage that I'll circle back to in a sec. But what I said was, there's the main difference I found between the people who finished the Pacific Crest Trail and the people who didn't was the people who finished went to hike the Pacific Crest Trail. The people who did not finish were the ones who thought hiking the Pacific Crest Trail sounded fun.
Yes.
And it's such an enormous difference in mentality.
Yeah, I loved that. I loved that point that you made. And I actually stopped for a second and thought, that is it in a nutshell. That is it. That is the synopsis of the difference between success and failure. We did a episode quite some time ago where Craig and I discussed the title of the episode was Making Adversity Your Friend, which says it all right there. And we kind of unpacked that, be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and then you're not going to get those rude awakenings. And I really talked to that when I heard you say that.
Yeah. It was one of the lessons that I took from the Shikoku Pilgrimage, which lasted me through my life since was, and I don't do any of these lessons all the time because it's a struggle, but don't define the journey while you're still on it. Mm-hmm. Is, I think, another amazing lesson to keep, because, people go out on these trails and they have this idea of what it's going to be. They think it's going to be, like you said, drinking coffee, the sun comes up, suddenly you're enlightened and you're like, oh, that's the app I should program or whatever. And it's not that a lot of the time. A lot of the time it's difficult, or it's, I lost the word, not clear what any day was, Yeah. Like most days on the PCT were fantastic. Most days on Shikoku Pilgrimage were a real struggle with a lot of pain because my shoes didn't fit. So I was, every step hurt.
That's not a metaphor either, is it?
Yeah, right. But it's important not to just look at this and be like, well, this sucks and it's not what I wanted, and then just focus in on that, because then you'll start spiraling. Then you'll start thinking like, what else could I be doing instead of this? And that is the poison thought on any of these journeys.
Yeah, and I think, and the question is, well, if that's not what you wanted, what did you want? Because I don't think you should be here.
Right, but also if you can switch your mind and be like, what could this be? Mm-hmm. What is the lesson that could be out there? And I feel like if you can open yourself to the journey like that, that's where all of the big lessons come from.
Yeah. Oh, I love that approach, mate. It really resonates with me, and I just know, I know because we know our audience so well. I think that little segment is going to resonate so well with them as well.
And I think you said that before too, Paul, where you say even months after some of your big adventures, that's where it's sort of still settling into working out what these lessons are for you. Is that right? Yeah.
I mean, that's something that, I end my book kind of ambivalently. That's the word I was looking for. Because the truth was, people go on these journeys and they come back, and sometimes it takes months or years to realize like what it all meant or what it was leading you to. And I feel like people get kind of discouraged at the end because they're like, oh man, I didn't change and all of the problems I have are still my problems back in the world.
Yep.
And I didn't have that big epiphany that's going to change my life and make the climax of my movie. And I feel like the journeys are still so valid and so important to go on, and to just be open to the fact that you might not get the answer you want. You might get the answer you need.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I mean, I've said to Craig and I've said to other people before, I sort of give people the question is, why do you want to go on a grueling 3-day hike to get to a waterfall or something, just to see that waterfall, and then spend 3 days hiking back or whatever it might be. And I sort of put the question to them and say, okay, so if there was a helicopter that was able to drop you into that waterfall, or a chairlift that would take you up the top of that mountain, would you jump in it? And they said, oh yeah, of course. And I kind of think to myself, well, you're an idiot because you're missing the point. You are missing the point. I like to go to places that humans cannot get unless they use their own two legs. And so in that, we all share that experience. If anyone else listening has done the PCT, they know exactly what you're talking about, Paul. And they're thinking, yeah, I know what he's talking about. And you don't get to start the PCT, jump on the bus, go to the end, get a photo at the end and say, wow, I did it. Because the journey and the hardships are the PCT, not the fun sunsets,
Yeah, I mean, and it's also like sometimes the journey, like sometimes it's so important to go through it, because once you get to the end of a day that was really hard, you are changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so to kind of, when you said like, wearing my shoes that hurt was kind of a metaphor. It really was, because so Shikoku, the pilgrimage, is broken. Shikoku, the island, and the pilgrimage is broken into 4 sections.
Mm-hmm.
It's 88 temples around the island. The first section is Tokushima, which is the land of awakening faith. And then the longest and the hardest one is Kochi, the land of ascetic training. Then that follows to Ehime, the land of enlightenment, and Kagawa, the land of nirvana. And once you've circled through all 88, you return to Temple 1 to remind you that the journey is ongoing, always.
Mm-hmm. And that's around 750 miles.
Mm-hmm.
1,200 kilometers.
That one I knew.
Well done. Yeah, that's how long did that take you to complete?
42 days.
42 days. That seems like you were going at a really good clip to do it in 42 days.
That's part of that was because my feet hurt every day, and I just wanted to cover distance
and
like stop. Yeah. So as I'm walking through the land of ascetic training, my feet are like, it's crazy. They look like they're wrapped for Egyptian burial. It's just blisters and blood blisters and just pain and cramping in every step until basically I've beaten my feet into unconsciousness. It hurts.
You should have wrapped them tighter and kind of worked on that feet shrinking kind of theory.
Yeah, that, or just, I don't know. Well, I don't think we had Amazon then too, so I couldn't have sent myself bigger shoes.
Yeah.
And, small island in Japan, no one's carrying size 12s.
Yeah, I bet. I struggled with correct size clothing of any type when I was living there. Or just ridiculous fitting long pants that are above your ankles, stupidly small shoes.
Yeah,
short.
And the slim legs too, right? Yeah. I got that
Thankfully,
same problem.
I've got slim legs, so I did okay on that front. But yeah, you kind of you can kind of tell the foreigners that have been there for some time, because once they've had to go through a cycle of the clothes they brought with them and bin a few of those, and then go and purchase new stuff in Japan, you all kind of look the same, like you're walking around with ill-fitting clothes.
But anyway, so the whole walk through Kochi, like I'm viewing this and it's beautiful. It's right by the seaside. Mm-hmm. I'm going through these rice fields. There's this one day where I stop and I see this recently overturned field, and it's dusk and the sky is just glittering with these metallic red dragonflies. Oh, wow. And I'm just like in awe of the beauty. And then literally like 10 minutes later, I see the same thing. And I'm like, when the fuck is this road going to end? My feet are killing me.
Get the hell out of my way, dragonflies. Yeah. Somewhere to be.
Yeah.
That's
Don't distract me from the end, dragonflies. And so like, it's this balance between seeing this beautiful stuff and just being in pain with every step, until finally at the end of it, like just the last temple of ascetic training, I realized, like, you know what? Instead of trying to ignore this pain or think about the end when I'm not going to be in pain, I just need to accept it as part of this journey. And like part of my worship and part of the ritual and devotion that I'm giving to this very spiritual journey that I'm trying to commit myself to, even though it's a completely different religion.
Yes.
So that's where I'm going to find meaning.
Yeah, and in some ways giving it the respect that it deserves as well.
Yeah, it was. So every temple you do this, you say a set series of prayers, and you throw in a name slip and some coins, and then you say the prayers. And I always felt, since I don't speak Japanese, the prayers were just ritual, but I grew up Jewish, so I'm used to saying a language I don't fully understand.
Uh-huh.
And and it always felt like it wasn't that much, like a name slip and some recitations and some coins. But knowing that I was giving all of the, just suffering and all of the difficulty, that was my devotion to the temples. And that kind of brought me to peace with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And I think, mate, I hate to say it, but I think maybe if you did have shoes that fit, you might not have had that that kind of sense of appreciation or understanding.
No, and I think that because Shikoku was so hard, like, third day I'm collapsing from dehydration for 6 hours.
Wow.
I think I'm going to die trying to get to this temple.
Yeah.
But I made the decision, like, look, yes, I'm falling down every 50 steps.
Yep.
And yes, I'm actually really scared that I could die or, have to be airlifted out. But I am going to get to this temple. I am going to commit to this until I can't walk. And that day was the hardest thing I've ever gone through. And nothing else has ever really compared. And if it weren't for that being so hard, maybe I would have turned around at something else.
Yeah. And where did that grit come from? Where did that willpower come from, given that you had done, you've never done a hike of that kind of length or magnitude, and you've done little bits and pieces, but what do you think was the difference between that? Was it that you'd poured so much into this, you'd quit a job, or was it really just a mental game?
It was a lot of everything. I mean, there's just a very basic stubbornness that I was born with. You can ask my parents. Then there was...
Get him on the phone, Craig, right now.
Right. We can check on this.
We'll check this, fact check.
And then there was the embarrassment of, even being like, oh, I might collapse and lose consciousness. I was also like, I'm not just going to go home after 3 days and have my friends be like, how's Japan? And be like, it was hard, so I left. Anyway, what's going on? I know I talked about it for 6 months nonstop, but, like, who needs to be thirsty? And then part of it was also years of this very hard style of karate called Kyokushin.
Okay,
which is
so
a bare-fisted karate style.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Kyokushin.
Nice.
Did you? Where does this fall into the timeline? So you started Kyokushin before the Shikoku Trail, okay?
Yeah, I started Kyokushin in the fall of 2006. I continued it through. I also found a dojo when I was in South Korea.
Oh, cool.
And so by the time I was hiking the Shikoku Pilgrimage, I had just earned my brown belt, and I was training up for my black belt test.
Yep. Quite the journey and quite the test too, that one.
Yeah, Kyokushin was no joke, but we'll train our hearts and bodies for a firm, unshaken spirit.
Mate, that explains a lot. I didn't realize where that fitted into the timeline, and I thought it might have been post. I thought the Shikoku Trail may have inspired you to start Kyokushin, but now hearing this, I wouldn't have even asked that question. I know the answer straight up. I know exactly where you found the grit and the determination. Anybody?
Did you train?
Yeah, that's what I moved to Japan for. Yeah.
Awesome.
I trained in a little suburb called Waseda in the middle of Tokyo, and our style in Australia was directly linked to a traditional karate style in Japan, where our master lived and trained.
Was it Goshiru?
No, it wasn't. It was Shorinjiru Kenkokan Karate-do. So
okay.
we had a branch in Australia. All the instructors, the two head instructors here, lived and trained in Japan also when they were younger. So they brought the style out to to Australia. So by pure chance, we found ourselves in a very traditional martial art, albeit on the other side of the planet. So I was second dan prior to going to Japan and stayed there for a year and a half. I came back a couple of times just to get a bit more money and do a few things over here, but then I went back again and I got my third dan while I was living there.
Wow.
For that time.
See, I told you I had a ninja friend.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I get I mean, like I said, I know that now I know, because anybody who's had any involvement in karate, and again, Paul, you didn't just stop at yellow belt or whatever. You've pushed through, and again, there's statistically, if you see the people that start karate versus who gets a black belt, it's something ridiculous, like 1%. And then if you take the percentage of people who get a black belt and then see who goes through to second dan, it's even smaller, and so on and so forth. So to get where you got to, mate, makes a lot of sense to me now.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing, who wants to hike the Pacific Crest Trail and who thinks it'd be fun? Like that first class in Kyokushin, you see the people who are like, we get to fight for real. I've been looking for this challenge for so long.
It's unbelievably confronting, but in some respects, Paul, I'm trying to find the word for it. It's refreshing.
It's calming in a way.
It is calming, and it's refreshingly real. You cannot think about the bill that's sitting in your letterbox waiting for you when someone's punching you in the face.
Yep,
you have to be present, and you have to be 100% present. At the same time, you can't be present. You got to have the empty mind. So it's a bit of a conundrum.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a real-time, real consequence chess game.
It is, yeah. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
And
it's uncomfortable.
Yep. I was never able to play chess very well because I was always bad at thinking ahead, but also because it was like, oh shit, you took my rook. Darn. I lost a toy, I guess.
Yeah.
But Kyokushin, it's like, oh, my ribs are broken. That's going to cost me.
Yeah, that's a few weeks of taking it easy. And I think, but in those high, those critical, with the high risk versus high reward, those critical situations, inevitably you're going to gain more from it. And that's also what you've kind of reflected through your commitment to the Shikoku Pilgrimage. Is it wasn't fun all the time, but what are you there for? What are you trying to gain from it? You did the PCT and you weren't. It wasn't fun all the time either. But you kind of, you've trained enough to know that that's not what you're there for, because anyone knows you might go through a spate of 2, 3, 4 lessons, maybe 2, 3 or 4 weeks where karate's just not working for you. Something's wrong. You're overthinking something. Something's not right.
The plateau.
Yeah.
The plateau is so rough to get through.
It's brutal because you feel like you are doing something wrong. But in essence, you just need to keep taking those next steps, because it will reveal itself. It won't reveal itself if you sit there and think about it for 4 weeks. But if you train through it for 4 weeks, you'll probably get there.
Exactly. And sometimes you need to step away for a day and come back, and then you've lost your bad habit.
Yeah.
But, it's like, like Bruce Lee, when he said the best style to have is no style,
yep.
Everyone thought, oh, you mean I don't need to train? But what that means is you need to train so hard that you eventually, the way you fight is the way you speak and the way you think. The way you fight is you.
Yes.
Not Kyokushin, not Goju-ryu, not Shorin-ryu, not Shotokan, but just it's you speaking through
Correct.
Your body.
And it's not your outward persona speaking either. Like, it's the very real you inside.
Mm-hmm.
You can't there's no faking martial arts. Like it is you. It's essentially the core of you that turns up to the dojo, and it's the core of you that turns up and says yes to sharing another person to punch. It's a very respectful art. I think a lot of people don't understand or believe that. Even Craig.
What kind of fighter were you? Like, what was your way of speaking?
Here's the thing with karate is, and I've said this many times, I used to train with a couple of Russian guys that were training. Yeah, so I'm 6'2". They were slightly taller, around the 6'3", 6'4", and I'm very light and wiry frame, and they were very, very solid. And when you're in the dojo, it doesn't matter what weight class you are, you just get thrown together by your experience level. So I've always said that I don't think Japanese people anticipated who they were giving away these arts to, because you go and, in a way, karate and judo is built for, short Japanese people. But once you start to explore what you can do with a different body shape using the same fundamental practices, you then take that into a different realm that they perhaps didn't even think of. And
man,
so that,
what is it with Russians and Persians?
Oh man, they've got
Persians especially. Like, I don't know like what they're training them, but those guys have a spinning back kick that like breaks the fucking sound barrier.
You have to do that to get into primary school there. I think that's why they're so good at it. But no, I don't think I've ever been as hurt and I was quite young. 18, 19 at the time. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been as physically scared as stepping up to those guys at that age.
I literally, one of the reasons that I never, like, I always fought heavyweight, which the cutoff, I was like 182. So I'm like 2 pounds above the cutoff for middleweight. And one of the reasons I never fought middleweight was there was this Ukrainian dude who fought middleweight and scared the shit out of me.
So you just think a few more burgers before weigh-in just to make sure you tip the scales.
Yeah. And heavyweight, like, they didn't have super heavyweight. So I was fighting people like 30 pounds heavier than me, but I was like, anything but that Russian.
Yes. Yeah.
I once saw, like, in a padded tournament, I once saw him uppercut a dude, and through gloves, he lifted the guy off the ground. And then the guy just like dropped and went fetal. And I was just like, thank God I drank that extra beer.
Yeah, there's a few Russian run-ins in the world titles. This Australian team I was in the Australian A team, basically 5 people who had to fight 5 Russians, one at a time, obviously, but you fight the person in your weight group. And we watched them run through pretty much every other country, not with 100% style, with 100% brute force. So when we stepped up and it was our turn, there was a few nerves, but we took them out, which was good. So we ended up fighting. Wow. We ended up fighting Japan for the title, and we came in second because I won my fight, another guy won his fight, and then 3 Australians lost very close fights. So we ended up losing 3-2. I think the Russians came in third. Take that, Russia.
Yeah, but don't come after me though. I'm really scared.
You do not know where I live.
Sometimes on this podcast, I feel like a bit of an outsider, but I definitely
sorry, Craig, and then sorry any listeners, but I think it's
the pacifist sitting in the corner over here who starts to understand where all this determination Tom has comes from too. I think you guys are pretty good with your commitment, and you can deal with pain pretty well, both of you. Right?
Well, yeah. Look, to bring it back to hiking, I hope that people understand that. It's very exciting to talk to somebody else who has a similar mindset. So for me, it's been a long time since I've been able to voice any of that. But to bring it back to hiking, I think everyone needs to understand that that's the point I was kind of making about Paul earlier. Was oh, now I get where your resolve came from. Of course it came from that.
Yeah,
so, sorry to drag that on, but thanks for the chat on that, Paul. It was good reminiscing.
Yeah, man. I haven't been in a dojo in so long, extra long now because of COVID. So
yeah, of course.
Sorry for everyone who wanted to hear about hiking, but man,
I think people on this podcast are used to us taking some pretty big
long walks.
Deviations.
Yeah.
All right, let me wrangle it back into. Wrangle it back into the Shikoku Pilgrimage.
Yeah, and actually studying Kyokushin was how I got into a karate match with a priest on a mountaintop temple.
And how far along the journey was this, as far as, say, percentage-wise, did you get into this?
This was, I think, 30 days in. And just to give
only
your
30 days. Oh, hang on, that's 30 days of, how long did you say it was?
42.
30 or 40. Oh, okay, so you're sort of like 3/4 of the way through by this stage.
Yeah, and just for your listeners, to give you guys context of what the Shikoku Pilgrimage had been up until that point, day 1, I got charged by a boar. Day 3, I was collapsing from dehydration up on that mountain. 2 weeks in, I spent a night hiding from guards in a toilet stall all night because I had heat exhaustion. I broke part of an ancient temple, which then freaked out and ran away, which wasn't so good because I'd cut my leg in the fall and ended up with a leg infection. So I was basically like not having any fun. Oh, and my shoes didn't fit the whole time. I can't state that enough. And it was the hottest summer on record. So
I'm assuming that when listeners go and check out and I hopefully purchase your book, Fighting Monks and Burning Mountains, Misadventures on a Buddhist Pilgrimage, by yours truly, is going to cover a lot of those things in a bit more detail, especially the boar charge.
The boar charge was like it was defending its babies, and thankfully
I've seen it here in Australia.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we've seen it.
It's great.
Yeah, boars scare the shit out of me, man.
Yeah, me too. I mean, there's not
that
much.
And cougars.
the feline kind, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Well, both. Let's be honest.
Oh, you use that phrase too.
Yes. Second podcast in a row. There's a record for you.
Actually, that's right. Yeah.
It is. I just, although this one won't air consecutively, I did speak about it last week.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yes. Yeah, cougars. Yeah, not the sort of thing. I mean, you've got. Did you have any experiences with? Geez, I'm really jumping around here, but this is so much fun, Paul. Did you have any experiences with good stuff, mate? With wildlife on the PCT?
Yeah. I mean, like, I know nothing like getting stalked. Although a friend of mine did get stalked for a night, but I saw about 3 bears. Deer were the bane of my existence because, you know, when you're trying to sleep and you've perhaps, I don't know, woken up in the middle of the night and peed right by your tent, they'll eat that dirt right by your ear. And then there was one cougar. I think there was a bear that was following me one day, but that was the day I hiked 35 miles for my 35th birthday. So I might have hallucinated him because I definitely hallucinated that a piece of wood was a saber-toothed tiger. And I had to actually go through the mental thought of like, Paul,
hang on, what year are we in again?
Yeah, exactly. It's not the Pleistocene, and that's not, the saber-toothed tigers are extinct. And then the other part of my brain was so like wiped. It was like, what? So you're going to be the first one to get eaten because you didn't hear about the time tunnels?
They've come back, man. Didn't you even know there's a small pocket of saber-tooth in the middle of the US? That's what I always think about things like that. I think it's all good for people, all good and well for people to say, oh, oh, that can't ever happen. I say, oh, really? Well, you know, there's been stranger things happen. It's all good and well to tell me that you can't get taken by a saber-tooth, but when I'm the first one in like a million years to get taken, well, you'll all be eating your words.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy because you know everyone's going to be like, oh, I wouldn't have gotten eaten. Look at this idiot.
Yeah, famous for the wrong reasons. And
you got to Google the time tunnels.
Yeah, not alive to write a book about it.
But
sounds like a close
the
call.
one cougar encounter that I positively had was we were just chilling out by this stream, and a cougar the size of a fucking Bengal tiger just walks across this ridge, looks down at us as if to say, "What's up, peasants?" and then just keeps going, and we have to go that exact same route.
Oh, wow. Could you identify if it was male or female at that point, or would you have any assumptions?
No assumption. I just know
no
it
little
was
kitties
the
with it.
biggest thing I'd ever seen. Although, like, the other wildlife encounters that I've had that are memorable, like bicycling through Yellowstone, I got close enough to a bison because, like, basically this woman was like this bison was gigantic, like one of the biggest things I've ever seen in my life. And he's far away from all the other bison. And this woman's like, oh yeah, you could just walk up to it and take a picture. And I'm like, yeah, you must be a zoologist. And so I just walk up and this thing turns to me and growls. And I didn't know bison could do that. And it was so big, I got resonance in my chest. I was just like, you are right. I am too close.
I'm fascinated by bison.
Man, that and moose. Like
bison,
I ran into some moose on the Colorado Trail, and that scared the shit out of me.
Wow.
Because those things will kill you by accident.
I know. I've seen some, well, I was going to say cool footage. I've seen cool footage of someone get mowed down by one. Not injured or killed, thankfully, just kind of pressed into the ground. And, oh, yeah. The other thing I'm fascinated by is elk. Just their design. Like, what a unique beast.
Yeah, just a chandelier of knives on it, both sides of your head.
And the way they sweep back is quite unique in comparison to some of the other, I mean, completely opposite of a moose, for example.
Yeah, there's herds of elk right up on the Olympic coast that are just, I've seen them like walk through. They're beautiful, man.
Yeah, they're fascinating. I love it. One day I want to see one.
I saw a rattlesnake on your Instagram, Paul. Did you run into many snakes on the trip?
That rattlesnake is actually how I got my Pacific Crest Trail name, Snake Eyes.
Oh, yeah?
It was not your ninja association.
No, it was the fact I could not see snakes. I just I walked by one and someone was just like, dude, and I turned back and it is big. And I'm just like, Jesus. And they're like, watch out. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm just scanning the ground.
So you probably passed heaps,
Paul. Right? And then I turn back and I've just walked by one even bigger.
Wow. That's all good. You walked by it. You wake it up for the guys behind you. That's a polite thing to do.
Someone had to make sure it was safe to pass that rattlesnake.
If I can do it,
I'm not going to call myself a hero. I'll let the newspapers do that.
That's their job.
So they're just like, good looking, Snake Eyes. And I'm just like, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. It's ninja related.
No one needs to know it's not related to the ninja.
Yeah. Except I might accidentally say it on a podcast to everybody. That's good. That's good. Oh, no. Wow. Okay, I've dragged you back into the US. Take us back. The boar attack, and we were somewhere in the Shikoku Trail until I dragged you. Yes. We're on top of a mountain. Why are we on top of this mountain?
So, so it's 88 temples, and they're spread throughout. They're spread throughout the countryside. So some of them are on cliff sides overlooking the Pacific or the Seto, which is the inland sea. Some of them are in the middle of rice fields. Some of them are hidden, in deep forests surrounded by cedars. And some of them are up on the tops of mountains. I mean, not like the top, because, that'd be a little too angled, but super high up. And this one was I believe Temple 66, which is Upenji, the Temple of Hovering Clouds. And so I get up there.
Good name.
Yeah, very fitting. And so I get up there, it's like end of the day. And at this point, I'm practicing karate every night because I'm practicing up for my black belt test. You know how complicated that is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go in and, I say the set series of prayers, which are written phonetically in my book. And the priest, turns to me, and a super nice guy. And he's like, oh, you said the prayers very well. And, his English is limited, but I was just like, oh, thank you. And what I don't say is like, you don't have to lie to me. I know I'm not saying any of this right.
And for that, I shall fight you now.
Yeah. And then his second question is, why are your arms so big? Because at that point, I'd been practicing karate, hiking, 20 miles a day. And for whatever reason, I could not find enough food at any point. So I looked like Bane with cancer. And so my arms are huge. And also I have no body fat anywhere. And I just go, oh, I do Kyokushin, because that's easier than saying, I can't find food. Where are your grocery stores? And so he goes, oh, I do Goju-ryu. And I'm just like, oh, man, that's so cool. Because for your listeners, Goju-ryu and Kyokushin are kind of sister styles. The founder of Kyokushin was a black belt in Goju-ryu. And that's kind of what he based a lot of Kyokushin off of.
Right.
That and living in a mountain for 2 years and punching trees and breaking rocks because he was a psycho. So anyway, then we get to talking and, he says, okay, well, since you're a walking pilgrim, you can stay for free beneath the temple tonight. And I'm like, super cool. Go down there, lay my gear out, walk back up. And then the temple's closed and I ask, hey, can I practice Kyokushin in your yard? And he's like, oh yeah, that's totally fine. And then his wife comes out. And what's funny is his wife comes out of, I guess, the priest quarters carrying their baby. And these 3 German shepherds race out after her. And they start running around the temple courtyard and then all jump up and drink out of the sacred pool that we all drink out of. And so she walks up and she's just like, oh, you're a walking pilgrim? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, have you walked the whole thing? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, even Burning Mountain, which is where I was collapsing. And I'm like, yeah. And she just goes, oof. And so then, we get to talking and he points to me. He's like, Kyokushin, brown belt. And she goes, oh, Shotokan, green belts. And I turned to him and I was like, oh, I thought you said you did Goju-ryu. And he says, no, now I do Shotokan with my wife.
Because the wife says.
Yeah. Which is, Shotokan is a no contact style and Goju-ryu and Kyokushin are full contact. And so he says with my wife, and then I look at him and he looks at me and we just have this moment of understanding. And I raise my fist and I say, kumate, which means fight.
Fight.
And he goes, kumate. So he takes off his priest robes. I take off my pilgrim gear. We square up and for 15 minutes just have a full-on contact karate match.
Oh, that's
as
epic.
Dusk is falling over this mountaintop temple above the clouds.
Oh, everything's worth it right then and there. That's you could have just packed up and gone home, and you would have been fine.
I've told my wife I need to be a very, very loving husband and beloved father for her to put that on my tombstone instead of fought a priest on a mountaintop in Japan.
Yeah, I know which one I'd prefer though.
Tell the legend.
That's epic. Yeah, tell it to whoever will listen. That's cool. I mean. There's that kind of chain of events. I'd go as far as to say that even of the dozen foreigners that hike that pilgrimage each year, I dare say that not many of them are finding themselves in that situation, and that's just so cool.
It was super unique, and I honestly think I went deaf for the night from like 8-year-old Paul just applauding loudly in my head.
Totally.
Oh, that's cool, man. What an experience, and what a story forever. Hey, Craig touched on it earlier, and we certainly covered it. But when we were talking earlier about you completing the pilgrimage, but then not necessarily getting the immediate rewards or lessons, perhaps that you assumed were going to come from it. So I know we've covered that, but was that disappointing in any way to you? Did you have an expectation, and did you think, what, that's it? Now I just get back on a plane and I can't hover on a cloud or anything? Did I come all this way just to have sore feet? Did you were ever disappointed?
Yeah. I mean, it was a little bit of disappointment because I kind of went out there, to, I don't know, get some grand answer, even though literally, right before I left, I went to, there was a Shingon Buddhist temple by where I was living at the time. Shingon is the Shikoku religion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the religion that Kukai founded, and he's the founder of the pilgrimage. And talked to the priest, and the priest, gave me a bracelet as I was leaving and said, "It is the journey you need." And I'm like, yeah, I really need to have an epiphany. And yeah, so I came back and I was just suddenly like back doing kind of the same job. And, after a week, everyone's like, so you fought a priest on a mountaintop. That's rad, dude. Cool pictures. You say your shoes didn't fit? Wow, that sucks. All right, anyway, bye. And yeah, so I was just kind of knowing that something had happened and something had changed, but also being back where everything was normal, It wasn't just like, oh, snap, that's what I need to do with my life. It was like, okay, well, that was crazy.
Yeah.
And so
I hope my feet recover someday.
I'm guessing the obvious question here, and probably Tom was about to ask you, is that why you wrote the book? Is that why you managed to put it down on paper and you could get these experiences, maybe, 6 months on, and then however long it took you to complete? Did that, because you'd stopped the conversations, the dialogue had stopped with your friends, you had to just... And I suppose we've been working through a bit of journaling, and a bit of, reliving some of our experiences actually helps us cement our experiences as well. So has writing been that for you, or is it something else?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of what I found with the writing is it's kind of how to put everything into order, like not everything from my journals is in the book because, one of the hardest things about writing a book is, especially a memoir, is figuring out like what's interesting to other people and what's only interesting to you.
Yeah. Fair call.
Yeah. Right.
Or, and also sometimes looking back on something and finding the meaning in it rather than looking and just saying, yep, that happened. And then that happened. And then that happened. Yeah. And, cause that's an anecdote. That's not a story.
Did you find the writing process therapeutic, and did that lead you to get perhaps what you were looking for earlier?
What I was looking for and what I figured out was I'm not going to be happy at a desk doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was not ready to stop traveling. I was not ready to stop looking deeper into the world for meaning and answers and experiences. I wasn't close to wanting to settle down. And that was Shikoku was just kind of the kick I needed to be like, dude, you're not happy here. You're never going to be happy. You don't want to wake up sighing every day. Stop doing this. Stop trying to make a job you hate work.
Yep.
Because you're supposed to, and sort of leaving that and writing the book was because, well, I always kind of wanted to write a book, and also, yeah, what a wild time that I wanted other people to hear about.
Yeah.
And, to entertain them and also to give them, some lessons that I took away from it. But I never found writing therapeutic. Writing a book is so hard. It was harder than the pilgrimage. It was like funny. 3 years of just constant effort and rewrites and rewrites. And the pilgrimage was just like 42 days of trying not to die.
Yeah, and you're done. That's it.
Yeah, I know.
No, that's, mate, kudos to you for sticking with the book writing process. Whilst I've never done it myself, I've only read and heard horrible things about it. It's
something the creator of Breaking Bad once said, Vince Gilligan, said, I hate writing. I love having written.
Yeah.
And that is exactly how I feel about it. Like that, publishing that book is one of the proudest things I've ever done. It really is just a highlight of my life. And God, it was sucked every step of the way.
But you want to line up again and do it again for your PCT story.
Yep. Yeah. For the exact same reasons. Just, I feel like the Pacific Crest Trail brought me one of the things I want to get across in the Pacific Crest Trail book is a journey like that. Like, it gives you all the answers, but it's up to you to put them together. Like the Pacific Crest Trail, at least for me, didn't work miracles, but it was something where I went into it very damaged from just a couple of really traumatic, grief-filled losses, and left it whole again in ways that I'm still trying to figure out. But yeah, it was like...
that was your reason for embarking on it or choosing to do it?
Yeah. So I don't know how deep we want to get into it, but basically I went through 2 suicides. And the second suicide was just like a year basically after the first. And I had this after the first suicide, I left to live in a new city. I don't know if your audience is North American mostly. So I left from Seattle to Denver. Denver's in Colorado. And yeah, I just, I was like kind of, I think, in denial of how badly I was hurting. And I was just like, okay, you know what? New city, just start over, start a new job, meet new people, keep going. And then the second suicide, I was just like, I vividly remember it was December 5th is when I learned about it. And then New Year's Eve, I was just in this car with a bunch of people, drunk, going to this rave, and, just like ready to party, ready to go. And then there was this moment that I'd been thinking about of like, do I stay in Denver? Do I stay with this job that might give me actually a career that I want? But I have no idea when I'm actually going to face what I've gone through. Or do I just leave without knowing if that's going to help, but knowing that it's something, it's something else that's going to challenge me.
Yeah.
And I just turned to my friend and said, fuck it, man, I'm doing the PCT. And he said, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I think I need some time outside. And then went and danced my face off on drugs. It was great.
Good. Oh, I'm glad that you let us know about the dancing. I didn't want you to cut the story off there. Mate, were you running away from something, or were you running towards the PCT?
That's something I'm really going to have to figure out. I don't like, it was interesting. At the week after I finished the PCT, I went on my first date with the woman who's now my wife, which is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's amazing, like beyond words. And, I had this friend over to my apartment, this Israeli friend, and she was looking through the stamp book. Like when you do the Shikoku Pilgrimage, every temple you go to, there's a stamp office where you get this calligraphy of the temple and then these 3 stamps. And some of them are beautiful, some of them are rushed. They're all just these very individual snapshots of a moment in time.
That's cool.
Where you were at this temple. The book ended up costing $300 because you pay at every temple. But it's
really? I didn't realize that.
But it's the most beautiful book I have, and it's just this document.
Fantastic memory. Yeah,
of all of these moments in time. And she, picked it out of my bookcase and started flipping through, and she's like, "Oh man, what's this?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a stamp book." And I started telling the story, and then I just like stopped for a moment. I was like, I never really look back at this. And she said, "Yeah, it's because you stopped running." And I was like, I don't know if that's true. I think I just caught what I was meant to catch. And so I think that's maybe the answer, but I don't know. I'm really going to have to, go over that and really think about it when I write the book.
Yeah, I was just going to say, perhaps writing the book is going to unveil that answer to you in its own time.
But something I did realize when I was on the PCT, because a lot of people go on it after suffering a loss. Early on, I was sitting in a cafe in, oh God, it starts with an E or an I, and I've totally forgotten. But anyway, a little resort town in Northern California or Southern California, one of those little ski resort towns. It's pretty early on. And I'm sitting at this table with a guy whose friend killed himself, another guy whose, I think, wife died, and then this, fireman who's just regaling us with all of this trauma he witnessed, and a couple of his friends have killed themselves because something about America and maybe the world is suicide is an epidemic that we never talk about, and we really should. But, I was thinking about all these people who come out there, and I don't think they're running from anything. And maybe they're hoping to heal. Maybe they're hoping for distraction. But I think at the basis, it's just like, look, if I'm going to be sad, I might as well be sad somewhere pretty, you know? Like, why would I want to be sad in a city with screens and distractions and just the average, background bullshit of life that everyone is going through, when I could also be sad, but look at this desert vista, you know, or see this cedar tree in this little grotto. And that was, I don't know if that's an answer, but that's my thoughts on that.
It's all good, mate. It was a tricky question. I was wondering how you'd tackle that. Well done.
Thanks.
Do you think that on your return from the Shikoku Pilgrimage, was it after you realized that it was kind of therapeutic in some way that made you think that the PCT might give you a similar kind of maybe I don't want to use the word spiritual boost, but you know what I mean, that kind of
growth
that growth and that just that kind of boost and that disconnect from technology, disconnect from the mundane, disconnect from suburbia, really.
I mean, I think that was the knowledge that travel changes you dates all the way back to my 3 months studying abroad in Spain, actually, because I went to this college that I hated. I hated being there. It was a small college in Minnesota. I always thought it was the wrong place for me to be. And yet, funny enough, like I've met people who went to the same college through Burning Man and a couple other things. And turns out I was just immature. That college was great. I should have made more friends. But, like I spent 3 years just hating it. And then senior year was like, oh shit, they're offering this study abroad program. I never have done it. I need to go. And I leave for Spain and I spent 3 months just wandering on my own, never watching a television and meeting all these cool people and just kind of being out and social and challenged. And I come back and I'm different, like noticeably different. I feel more grounded. I feel not cultured or wiser, but just like I have a different knowledge of the world than when I left. And it opens your ideas of like, oh, well, if I saw that's different, what else is different?
Yeah.
What else is out there? And so I kind of always knew that like, if you go off on any like big journey, like backpacking Europe or, even 4 to 7 days canoeing, you'll come back a little different.
Yeah.
And so for me, the long journeys that I've been on is always with the idea of like, you will come back in a lot of ways better or at least different than when you left.
Yeah.
And where you are now is not where you want to be. And maybe when you come back, you'll have a better idea of where that is.
Yeah. Excellent. It's almost like, from my perspective, the longer the duration, the more opportunity to chip away at the kind of external version of yourself, the outward persona that you have to have when you're sitting at your desk job with Microsoft, and really discover what is in there. And I'm sure that people that you met on the PCT would have found it hard to believe that you were doing it. We had even done an office job sitting at, for Microsoft. So that's what I think is so cool about those things is Craig and I have met people on the trail that a few years ago, and we're still good friends with them, still communicate with them. Coincidentally, we live in the same city as 3 of the people we met in another state. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then the other guy flies up every few months to visit them, so they let us know and we all have a good old catch up. But friendships are forged on the trail, as you'd know full well. But they do get the best version of you, in my opinion. And that's fantastic.
Think so. Yeah, I think you really just get to be yourself. And I mean, that's the draw of long trails. That's the draw of Burning Man. That's the draw of a lot of, experiences where you are removed from your normal context. And so you just get to be the version of yourself that you would without worrying about who saw it.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, that's cool. I have one last topic I want to touch on. You briefly mentioned it earlier, but where does the cycling across the USA fall into that timeline? And second part of the question, how the heck did that ever come into being as well?
Yeah.
That came into being with the idea that like I really wanted to see the country because like I think second to last or last year of college, I saw this movie called Koyaanisqatsi.
Right, what's that all about?
So it's this crazy art film where this Benedictine monk named Godfrey Reggio directed just montages of like the ocean and clouds and, desert vistas and mountains and cities and people. And it's this Hopi word meaning life out of balance or life that calls for another way of living. And it's a movie about without dialogue and without plot, sometimes sped up, sometimes slowed down, but it's just footage of nature and people and how people are out of balance with nature. Like it was directed, or the cinematographer was the guy who'd go on to do Barach and Samsara.
Oh,
and the
that's
music,
incredible, Paul, because when you were talking about that, I was thinking, oh man, that reminds me of Barach in some small way.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's
and the
crazy.
music is by Philip Glass. And the soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I'm going to have to check this out.
Definitely. I love Koyaanisqatsi.
I don't even know how to begin to spell that, but I'll Google it. I'll Google Baraka and then I'll just work my way back. Wow, I can't believe that popped into my head and then you said it was the same director.
Yeah, I mean, I love those style of movies. I wish they'd make more.
I found that Baraka, that's how it's pronounced, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that incredibly confronting at the time. I watched it quite a long time ago now in that...
that monkey dance section. I love the monkey dance section.
I can't remember that. I just remember the chickens going through that machine.
That was the other thing I was thinking of.
Oh, man.
The chickens and the kakak monkey chant is
humbling.
Just quality.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's super interesting. Okay, so this was some kind of a inspiration or...
Yeah, so I watched that movie and they have all these beautiful images of the Southwest.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking like, I have not seen most of this country. Like this country is gigantic. It is, excluding a lot of the people, beautiful, and excluding their politics, just full of wonder. And I have not seen it, I haven't really felt it. And so I wanted to, go out and see America, but I also didn't like driving, and to be honest, still don't. So I was like, well, how could I see the most of the country without having to drive? And he was like, I'll just bicycle. And so the bicycling across the United States was like, that's when I got back and from Shikoku and started working again and decided like, you hate this, just quit. I started saving up to bicycle across the United States. And then when I came back from the bicycle trip, it was like, do the thing that you want to do. You've saved up the money. Just, follow your dream. Quit telling yourself you can't do it. And so I started writing my book.
Yeah. I do like to give you full credit for not only have you explored several foreign countries, and that's what a lot of people tend to do, especially in their youth. But I give you full credit in the fact that you've come back and decided to explore your own backyard, because a lot of people forget that there's plenty of wonder in your own backyard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to live in Washington State, which I think, probably besides Alaska, which I've never been to, is the most beautiful state out there.
Nice.
And yeah.
There's a few listeners getting their hackles up, I bet you, right now.
Sorry, everyone in Colorado.
Colorado is the best state. Why am I doing that in a really bad redneck
Wyoming.
kind of...
Yeah. It's not a debate. It's a proven fact. Washington is the best. Is that what we're saying?
I'm not sure. I mean, if Paul writes it in a book, then it's a fact, isn't it?
It's a fact. It's written down.
Yeah, I'll get on Wikipedia tonight.
Quick, get on there
states.
now. Yeah. Start a poll.
Yeah.
This is gonna bring me to a question I'm not even sure you've asked yourself yet, Paul. What's next, mate? Where do you go from now? I know that you now have a wife to consider, and obviously her wants and needs come into the decision-making process. Perhaps that means that your solo days are over, or at least of that length. Is that something that you've put any thought into?
Well, I mean, it's a twofold thing. Before we were married, one of my, kind of requisites was like, just so you know, I go off on long hikes. And she was like, okay. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll call your bluff. And so I left for a month to hike the Colorado Trail. And
how do you like that?
Yep, she was totally fine with it.
She was still there when you got back?
Hey, she flew out to visit me, and that's when I decided to propose.
Oh, nice.
And since then, we got married and have rafted the lower Grand Canyon.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And once everything clears up, our hope is to hike the Q route in Patagonia in the Torres del Paine.
Oh, cool. Together, obviously.
Yeah.
That's great. She's the woman with the wonderful smile that pops up on your Instagram feed. Is that would be correct?
Yep, beautiful smile and the best laughs on earth.
Awesome. And, obviously a great temperament because she's putting up with you on a daily basis. And I will touch on it real quick. Your Instagram feed is a delight. It's something that people should have popping up in their feed. It's spectacular photos, mate. You take some really good shots of the wilderness. Some beautiful stuff in there, and it's Barach Outdoors. Just, maybe you've never listened to a podcast. Our listeners are sick of me saying this, but for each episode, I'll do a podcast show notes page on the website, and I'll link to that from iTunes. And
sure, and I'll point out Barach is spelled B as in boy, ARACH, outdoors.
Very good. And so they'll be able to go to the show notes page at any point in time. I'll have links to your book, Fighting Monks, Burning Mountains, and
available on Amazon, ebook, audiobook, and print.
Yeah, so you've already got the voice for that stuff. That's great.
Yeah, if you're not tired of this voice, how about 8 more hours?
Well, he's just about to start the sales pitch. No, it's a beautiful Instagram feed, and I do mean that. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I actually looked at it when we first got in touch, and then. Obviously we've been trying to wrangle this time slot for quite some time, given the different countries that we live in. But and thank you for your patience on that.
Oh, no problem. And this has been a blast.
Yeah, it's been a really good time, mate. And so this week I've got it back on the screen, and I've kind of been flicking through it each day, just preparing myself. Watch this. I just followed you, mate. How's that for real time?
Ooh.
Sorry, I hadn't followed you previously, but now that we know you're a good guy, and I'm happy to follow you. So just wanted to test you out with the masquerade of a podcast. It's great.
It's how they get you.
It's a Instagram feed worth following. I listened to the intro of the audio book. Because I've been extremely busy with work. I didn't have time to get my head around that when we finally decided on this week. So I haven't had the opportunity to read it or listen to it, but I did listen to the start. And you get into the thick of the business pretty quickly, which is pretty cool. So everyone jump on the show notes, check out all the links. Any other way that you can connect with Paul, I'll definitely drop those in there after we have a chat with him. But really, mate, it's been such a pleasure. It's been a really good time. Craig's just been sitting back there, sipping on coffee and, I don't know, whiskey or whatever. He kind of sneaks it without me looking.
Lucky Craig.
And but I can tell when he's enjoying things by just his the way he sits back in his chair.
Yeah,
and it's been so much fun. I really thank you for the amount of time that you've given us today, and also, mate, the level of honesty and the depth at which you were willing to share some of those particular good and difficult parts of your life, mate. So thank you very much.
Oh, no problem, man. Thank you for having me on. I'm so glad we got to do this.
Yes.
I'm not trying to butter you guys up in any way. This has been one of my favorite podcasts I've been on. Oh,
fantastic, mate. In Australia, I don't know if it's a world term, but it's called I don't want to piss in your pocket, but yeah, that's what we say.
That's definitely an Australian term.
Yeah. Same meaning. Same meaning. Yeah. No. And again, right back at you,
Is that to keep my pocket warm?
Yeah,
no.
Your
my pocket territory.
Your pocket. You see, your pocket's going to be free of urine because I'm not buttering you up. So yeah.
No, Paul, it's been a pleasure, mate, listening to your stories, and you've got so many more miles under your feet than I have, and I really can imagine the experience that you've gained, life experience, hiking experience, and I'm looking forward to checking out your book. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, hey, sorry, Craig, I've really cut you off there. Just on that note, Paul, maybe we can hook something up for the new year and really focus on gear and preparation, and I mean actually on that kind of what you had to set yourself up for the PCT. That'd be a great topic for
It's interesting that I've been sitting back. That was actually my only real topic I wanted to talk to you a bit about. So maybe we could.
Poor bastard. You had to listen to a karate story for 25 minutes and didn't even get to talk about hiking stoves.
I think you'd have gone through a bit of changes in your gear over the years. So we should definitely chat about that too.
Let's lock that in, Paul. If you're comfortable to do that, that'd be great. Let's lock that in.
Love to.
We've covered your as Craig says, you kind of your growth and your spiritual journey, but it'd be great to just start some gear talk.
Yeah, I reckon.
Oh man, I've got such gear opinions right now.
Oh, good. Yeah, save them up, write them down, write some notes. Let's get on that next year.
Will do.
Well, actually, that's funny for me to say that. When I say next year, I'm talking about 2021. Just in case this podcast drops early 2021, I'm not talking about waiting a whole year to talk to Paul again. I hate having to clarify that. It's just the way that it all falls, mate.
Magic of podcast.
Dude,
the magic of podcast.
People behind the curtain.
Yeah, I am.
There's a live recording.
I'm happy to do it. This is happening real time.
Straight to iTunes.
It's streaming.
Whatever day this is. That was crazy when that happened.
Yeah, that was the day.
Did you see the news?
Mate, thank you so much again. Take care of yourself. Keep in touch. Keep doing what you're doing. And let's talk real soon, mate.
You too, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Definitely. All right.
Bye. See you later, buddy. Thanks,
Bye.
mate. If you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, we'd really appreciate your ratings and comments if you can spare the time. If you'd like to know more about HikeordieTV and keep track of our adventures around Australia, make sure you drop by Hikeordie.com. That's where you'll find all the information you'll need to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or Pinterest. As always, we appreciate your support. Thanks for listening.